Welcome to the Cape Fear Ale Trail. Every month, we'll take you behind the scenes of breweries right here in the Cape Fear region. This month, we're at a neighborhood brewery whose name is after native members of our community who live in swamps and snack on flies.
I started brewing beer about 7 years before we opened, and home brewing. I had a buddy who got a home brewing kit, and I sat in with him on it, and we had no idea what we were doing, and it was just kind of magical. But then it just kind of sparked an interest, and that snowballed into just wanting to know every element about what we were doing and why we were doing it. I think something special about the brewery that really kind of is near and dear to my heart is the fact that we're so small. Our batch size is a 3-barrel, which is about 100 gallons, and that is like by far the smallest in town. So we really focus on being more of a neighborhood style brewery. We're not set up to do a lot of distribution and be in bottle shops and be on draft all around town. We have a lot of different fermenters, so even though we have a small batch size, we can ferment a lot of beer at the same time. So even like our core beers, we have a couple of like 5 or 6 core beers that we try to have on at all times. And we also have some seasonals and special releases. So the small batch really helps to keep everything super fresh. So that's kind of one of my favorite things about our style. Part of the brewery was creating beer and connecting with people. Really tying it into the community was essential from the very beginning. With the Venus flytrap being native to the Wilmington area, and it's the only place in the world that it has a native habitat, it just felt so special. Theory is that they started developing this carnivorous appetite because there was no nutrients in the soil. And these plants adapted to figure out a way in order to survive and kind of flourish in that weird environment. This particular element is something that a lot of people don't think of when they think of Wilmington. Just really getting some extra insight through all of the people who are working to preserve this really cool member of our community.
Looking for more Cape Fear beer? Head to capefearweekend.com and check out the Cape Fear Ale Trail for an interactive map, exclusive videos, and more. And join us every first Friday of the month for another stop along the trail.
My name is Josh Johnson, and I'm founder and CEO of Freedom Sailing. Freedom Sailing is an organization that helps veterans. I'm a veteran myself, and I just felt the need to go out and help others. Basically what we do in a nutshell is we take veterans sailing. I served in the Marine Corps for 4.5 years, from 1998 to 2002. It was also during the time where we were at war, so from after September 11th. My unit, 3-6, 3rd Battalion, 6 Marines up in Lejeune, was one of the first units to deploy to Afghanistan. My transition to civilian life was, I thought it was somewhat easy, but looking back on it, I struggled quite a bit. I had a lot of struggles. Just kind of reintegrating into the civilian life was tough. I found myself being frustrated, angry a lot of times of just how other people acted and treated each other. I came from this brotherhood of men and women that would do anything for each other. And then I get thrown into a world where it's not really like that. It was kind of a culture shock to me. A couple years after I got out of the military, I was just looking for something. I didn't know what I was looking for. And I found sailing with a couple of guys that were willing to teach me how to sail over at the Carolina Yacht Club. I joined their fleet and I started racing, and I realized after a couple of years that, wait, this is kind of what I'm missing. I'm missing the camaraderie, I'm missing the teamwork, I'm missing that common goal of a group of guys, girls that really want to achieve something and be better, not by yourself, but with a group of people. So that's really kind of what got me into sailing, is that I was unknowingly giving myself therapy by sailing. So this weekend's a big weekend, it's 4th of July weekend, and we plan on bringing the boat down here. We're gonna be right down here behind Hotel Ballast on the docks, and we're gonna be sailing with veterans all weekend long. We're gonna have our sails up. You can't miss us. We have giant 7-foot round diameter logos on the sails. I look back every 4th of July, not just because of the fireworks and all the crowds and stuff like that, but the freedoms that we have to enjoy the fireworks and enjoy our families and to enjoy the beautiful community that we've built. You know, so 4th of July it's you know, obviously it's Independence Day, but it's more than that. It's more of a feeling. A lot of veterans can tell you that it's more of like a kind of a frog in your throat, kind of a deep feel. And I'm getting choked up talking about it right now, but it gives me a lot of pride that we do celebrate the independence that we have.
Hi, my name is Kolby Bass, and this is my 1956 Chevy Bel Air. I've owned this car since I was 18 years old, and I bought it with my dad in Phoenix, Arizona. My dad restored Packards mainly when I was a kid, but has always had classic cars. And we'd take them to car shows mostly every weekend. Every time we would go to another car show, I would fall more and more in love with Chevy Bel Air convertibles. In 1956, they revamped the styling with two-tone body side paint and added some other modern options. In 1956, you could order your Bel Air with seatbelts, but only 8% of consumers bought this option. My 1956 Chevy has a Continental kit. A Continental kit is basically a fancy design item for carrying an exterior spare tire. They started out, you guessed it, on Lincoln Continentals, but by the 1950s, you could get a Continental kit on just about any car. Some say at the time that cars looked kind of bare without one. I feel a pretty intense amount of joy when I see people smiling as I roll by in our neighborhood. It kind of takes them back to, you know, a memory of time past. I'm really excited to have the 56 be the official car for Highway 6, and I can't wait to share it with more people. You can come see the car for yourself this weekend at Blueberry Festival, Saturday, June 18th.
Joe Upcarian, owner of Taco Baby, the Poorhouse, and soon to be the Eagles Dare. The Poorhouse is at 103 Market, basement service industry dive bar. And then we have Taco Baby here, 125 Grace, kind of a fun taco spot. And then at 420 North 3rd, coming is the Eagles Dare beer garden cocktail bar. I was commissioned as a second lieutenant in 2004 from Wisconsin. I was originally an engineer officer. Then I was part of the Marine Security Guard program working with the State Department. And then I tried out for Marine Special Operations, MARSOC. And then I was a Special Operations Officer, Marine Raider for the last part of my career. The Poorhouse is where we all drank. And that's where we all hung our hats when we had the little bit of time off while we were doing the training course. The Poorhouse was our home. And fast forward a little bit, not everyone's around anymore, sadly. That's why we have pictures of our boys above the bar. And the opportunity to buy it, kind of just, we knew the owner and he asked me and my other buddy if we want to buy it. And we're like, yep. And then I was like, I guess I'm a food and beverage guy now. Being in the military was a large portion of my life. It was probably chapters 4 through 10. I think we're on chapter 13 right now. It was massive, but again, it was a couple chapters in my book. It's not my book. It's not what defines me. It's the thing that I look back on, people I served with that I love deeply, friends that I'll never forget, alive or dead. But now I'm Joe, the restaurateur, food and beverage guy, not Joe, the Raider. Look back on it fondly, move forward, and be yourself, not what people think you need to be.
Captain Wilbur Jones is best known throughout Wilmington for being the man who committed more than a decade of his life for Wilmington to be designated as the first World War II heritage city. But the historian's public service began far before that.
I don't even remember when I made the decision. But my mother just loved seeing Navy uniforms. And I can tell you that it was the smartest decision I ever made in my life, was to join the Navy, go to officer candidate school. And in 28 years, I was promoted to captain. I had a great career. I was on 6 ships. I got my commission in officer candidate school and traveled all over the Far East and Pacific and all over the Mediterranean and Europe. So as a young man, I got to see an awful lot. And I met my future wife, who was an American, in Naples, Italy. In fact, I worked for her father, who was the commodore of of the squadron that I was attached to. So we got married in Naples in 1959. That was probably the most important thing I did in the Navy, was find my future wife.
His service didn't end there.
Had command of 2 units in the Navy Reserve, and ended up with service in the Pentagon. In fact, I had all told almost 8 years as both a naval officer and a civilian in the Pentagon. And boy, oh boy, that's quite an experience for anybody. It was quite an achievement. And for a little boy from Wilmington, my parents never went to high school. They got through the 8th grade, and their lives took them in different directions. And there I was working for 2 presidents. And that always made me feel very proud. As I've gotten older, and I'm 87, going on 88, I have been proud of what I've done, but I just enjoy giving back.
The proud Wilmington native continues to provide for the community beyond his military service.